JBT was actually established in 1884. It's been the industry's financial assurance and credit assurance agent forever for this industry.
So I got his opinion and he goes, it's just not just a credit check. It's like a handshake or a personal reference. It really changed the way he could do business and he actually made a living.
This is a statistic that keeps me up at night. When I look at our collections department, 75% of the collections that we handle, 3 out of 4, the supplier never ran a credit report. $25 credit report, Mark. Didn't run it. And I look back, I couldn't have done, and we couldn't have done as an organization, the growth and what we did without that partnership with Jewelers Board. We just wouldn't have been able to do it.
Hello, and welcome back to For the Love of Jewelers. I'm your host, Mark Nelson, and today we are here to welcome a longtime industry veteran, Andrew Rickard. Andrew has been involved in the jewelry industry for over 20 years and has been involved in multiple different aspects of it. He was previously the Executive Vice President of Operations at REI Diamonds and has recently transitioned to the President of the Jewelers Board of Trade, or JBT. Today we talk about his career, the industry, and why jewelers should get involved with the Jewelers Board of Trade. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you for listening. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Mark.
It's great to have you today. How are you doing today?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, so I'd like to get started by basically just asking, can you give some information about who you are, what you've been doing, what's your involvement with the industry, and go.
Sure. You got it. So my name is Andrew Rickard. I'm in Rochester, New York, born and raised here. I spent my last 21 years working as the Executive Vice President of Operations at REI Diamonds here in Rochester. And within that, the last 5 years, I was also on the board of directors for the Jewelers Board of Trade. And May 19th, I took over as the new president of the Jewelers Board of Trade.
Okay, so just for clarification, because I'm not really that familiar with who's RDI and what did you do there?
Okay, so RDI Diamonds is one of the largest domestic wholesalers. My responsibilities were really the day-to-day operations. Operationally handled both admin and sales, but did a lot of selling. Had actually accounts myself that I sold during my time there. But we provided loose diamonds, mounted diamond jewelry to 4,000 plus retailers around the United States. So both providing memo as well as selling for stock.
Okay, is that how you got involved in the jewelry industry from the very beginning, or?
Yeah, so over 20 years ago, I was not in this industry, didn't grow up in this industry, but I was had a friend who was a recruiter, and there was a gentleman in town that was looking to grow his business, and he introduced me to Michael Indelicato, who was the owner of RDI. I think I was the 20th employee at the time.
Oh, wow.
The company did a little over probably $26 million in that world. In over 20 years, we were doing over 200 million. So,
Oh, wow.
helped him. He was an unbelievable entrepreneur and driver of that business, but I was kind of the boots on the ground running the day to day on his behalf. He has a number of different business ventures in the jewelry industry. So I was the right-hand guy at RDI.
Okay. And were you dealing mostly with like wholesalers or retailers or?
Little bit of both, some wholesalers, primarily retailers. So, the American mom and pop retailers was our bread and butter. I certainly worked with some big boxes, different times through that tenure, but our primary client was the mom and pop jeweler.
And they are, I think, to my opinion, that one of the cornerstones of the whole
For
industry is
sure.
mom and pop.
For
Because
sure.
that's how I got involved. I was in college, and my wife worked at the mom and pop store. She was a sales, and she goes, "There's a position for a jeweler," and so I begged for that position. And then when I graduated college, worked immediately with a little tiny family-owned shop in Lubbock, Texas, and in both instances, and we're going to talk more about this, but JBT was a huge resource for them. And they really relied on it to help them in their businesses.
And for me, again, those were the clients that I learned from. I didn't grow up in this industry, so I had some tremendous mentors through the years, retail operators who taught me the business. I learned the wholesale side, but through the years, I became a pretty prominent trainer. I trained thousands and thousands of retailers and their staffs. And, I learned so much from retailers. And so I feel very kindred spirit still with my retail partners. And I think that's one of the things that we'll talk about today, Mark, to your point, is shifting some of the benefit that maybe hasn't always existed through the Jewelers Board to retailers to help them. And I think that it's forever been the financial and credit arm of the industry. I don't know if you know this, Mark, but JBT was actually established in 1884, all the way
That's what I
back in
heard.
1884 in Providence, Rhode Island. So it's been forever the industry's financial assurance and credit
Right.
assurance agent for this industry. And it's always really, it's been benefited suppliers to a large degree. But one of the things that I want to do, and I think organizationally we need to do, is be better for the whole industry,
Right.
not just suppliers, but retailers as well. And we'll talk about some really fun things that we're going to do to help retailers be more successful in the industry.
Since you kind of brought it up with the credit check and that kind of thing, one of the guys that works here, Phil Scott, he does a lot of the videos
Yeah.
here. He's been a jeweler for 40 years. He got started off in his business in the JBT, used that every day to get his diamonds.
Yep.
So I got his opinion, and he goes, it's just not just a credit check. It's like a handshake or a personal reference.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he goes, it really changed the way he could do business, and he actually made a living.
Yeah.
And it was largely based on JBT's services. So
Yeah, so for me, I mean, that's really how I got involved in the board. Is I was such a user of the service.
right,
Anytime we were opening new doors, and we were opening new doors for years and years and years, we would run a JBT report. That was a standard part of our procedure. We did an open account form, that was important. We did references, that was important. But one third of our decision was based on the JBT report and what we saw in that credit report and what that score was and how they paid within the industry and who owned it and what was their address and did they have insurance and had they have any claim or bankruptcy activity. All of those things lent themselves to, for us in the diamond world, how much a credit we were going to extend, how much memo we were going to provide. The JBT report was essential. And I look back, I couldn't have done, and we couldn't have done as an organization, the growth and what we did without that partnership with Jewelers Board. We just wouldn't have been able to do it because you
right.
would have had to have been more conservative. But the credit aspect of what the Jewelers Board provided us was the freedom and the confidence and the insurance to open so many more doors that probably we wouldn't have been able to do.
Yeah, you just need to know who you're dealing with,
Absolutely.
and just some basic information, really.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how you want to go about this. Do you want to talk about how JPT is currently set up? Like how does a person
Sure.
apply? What are the services that they offer?
Sure.
And then we can talk maybe possible about the future and other things
For
that are
sure.
happening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
for sure. So, what the Jewelers Board does is we create this book every year. I reach for it. This is the red
You
book.
still you still you still print it
We
out?
still print it out, man. The red book
Okay.
still gets printed out every year. It's coming up this in the fall. It comes out. But this is the red book. This is kind of the jeweler's Bible. If you're a salesperson, odds are you carried one of these with you. Nowadays,
I
we
saw them
have
in
this
a
on
lot
an
of
app,
shops.
which makes people a lot happier.
Right.
But I in our office in Warwick, Mark, we literally have the books going back to 1884. It's so cool.
Back that far?
Back that far. There were red books. So
Oh
it's
my,
really
that's
cool.
a collection.
It's
Oh
really
my
cool.
God,
I
it's
actually just
archived.
shot a promo. We're going to do a webinar coming up next Thursday, August 14th. We're doing one for retailers and one for suppliers. And my promo ad, I shoot in front of the red books, which is really fun.
Okay.
And
That's
the
cool.
decades of red books.
That's
But
so much
what we
history.
do is we collect retailer data. So who the owners are, where they're located, how long they've been in business. We create profiles for all of these
Right.
retailers. We have profile data of over 50,000 jewelry businesses, Mark. Over 50,000. Okay.
50.
Now that includes retailers. That can include international, stores in Canada, stores in the States. That could be suppliers, wholesalers, manufacturers, repair specialists. But the entire over-encompassing list is over 50,000. So we maintain a database of who everybody is, who the owners are, where they're located, who's authorized to buy? Do they have insurance?
Right.
A number of people provide us financial information, right? And if you're a wholesaler, one of the things you also do, a supplier, right, which a supplier will call as a wholesaler, a manufacturer, a retail, anyone who's selling to the trade, right, is a supplier.
Right.
Suppliers who are members
Yep.
will run
Those
JBT reports. It's essentially a business credit report.
Good.
How do you pay within the trade? What is the pedigree information of the business? What's the background of the
Right.
owner? That's one of the things that we capture. Um, and that allows wholesalers the ability to make credit decisions on how much they're going to extend to a store. Okay.
Okay.
So a retailer wants the highest possible grade because the highest
Right.
possible grade is going to yield them the most access to
Right.
vendors, which in turn provides them the most access to goods and services, which also provides them the most leverage to negotiate the terms, the values, etc. So the higher the pay grade, the more access, right? Everybody, if you're a wholesaler, wants to call on those stores that are the 1 rated or the 2 rated accounts. Those are the upper echelon stores that suppliers want to target. Okay.
And that's what Phil was telling me. He said he had such a high rating, he could go to anybody, get anything he wanted at any time.
Absolutely.
It's all because of that score.
Yeah, because I mean, for us, Mark, if you were a 1, if I had no other information, if I had nothing else, I'm probably going to extend you at least $25,000 if I got a signed application and I got references. Now you're available to go to 50, 100 plus. I wouldn't do that for a rated 3 account or a rated 4 account, right? I would have much lower limits. So a high rated
okay.
pay score went a long way for us in determining upper echelon values that we were going to extend someone. And then obviously you start to create your own history with somebody, and that's the most valuable. But this is creating a background before there's any exchange of history. And you said it before I think we got on. This is such a handshake and has been forever the kind of handshake business. And I don't know that it's that as much quite as it was anymore, but the JBT has always been a huge part of a verification and a validation of information and continues to be. And I think that to a degree through the years, it hasn't remained as relevant as it should have. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here. I have the background within the industry. I know who the players are. I know both sides. I've worked with thousands of retailers. I know suppliers, and I know the importance of the process. And so I bring a perspective maybe a little different than some of my predecessors, which are I've used the product and I understand its necessity. I understand how much upside there is to using it effectively. But I do think organizationally we need to do a better job of telling our story. Because again, something that's been around since 1884, certainly there's
Has
a
a story.
staying power there, Mark, but
Yeah,
you got to
there's a
retell the
story.
story sometimes. And I
Yeah.
think we've been a little delinquent telling our story, but I appreciate an opportunity like you're providing me today and Rio Grande's providing me today to tell our story. Because I think the more we do, the more retailers, suppliers, manufacturers, repair specialists, people in the industry are going to recognize the importance of what the Jewelers Board can still provide them.
Right. And it's that handshake. You have to update it to current times. It's kind of like a little more virtual handshake, but you got to trust that, and there's so much dubious behavior out there right now. And to have an entity like JBT going through and vetting and kind of saying like, you know what, this guy's pretty good. You can trust this one. Today's episode is sponsored by Technique. Technique burrs and drills deliver clean, accurate cuts and are trusted by jewelers worldwide. Use promo code TECHNIQUE now through August 31st for 10% off assortments and 20% off individual packs. Thank you again to Technique, and now let's get back to the episode. So I'm getting more of a sense of how it helps suppliers. How would it help retailers more?
So here's the deal. Traditionally, the story was if your retailer will list you, and it's a free listing. And everybody would say, I want my free listing. But one of the things I've learned through the years is retailers kind of, without realizing it, it's not really all they want. They really want a score. And when I was in Las Vegas this year, when retailers come to see us, and we see both retailers and suppliers, we see a ton of people. It was a great show for us, a record show. One of the things that I found very clear was that retailers, while they initially come up and just ask about being listed, when you ask them 2 or 3 questions about what their ultimate goal is, they want to score.
Yeah.
And the model with which I came in under was they were at the mercy of suppliers reporting trades between the 2
Oh,
parties.
yeah.
Okay? And I personally believe that retailers should have more of a say in their own score. And so this year at JCK, we launched something called Priority Retailer, which means if you're a retail member of the Jewelers Board of Trade, which costs Mark just $235 a year. That's it to be a member
Yeah,
if you're a
that's pretty
retailer.
cheap.
235
It's
bucks.
cheaper than
Okay?
cheaper than my streaming
Not much.
service.
For 235 bucks you can be a member. And what it does is it provides you access. First thing it does is it provides you access to a list of 9,000 suppliers, manufacturers, wholesalers, repair specialists. You can actually search by area or product. So if you're looking for a new lab-grown diamond dealer, you can do that search. All right? So it gets you a tremendous amount of access. But what being a member also does is it shows the industry that you're serious about your own credit journey as a business, right, Mark? And what we then allow you to do is something called Priority Retailer, which is something we launched this year in Las Vegas. It allows you as a retailer to actually submit paid trades to the jeweler's board. So you submit trades from different vendors, 10 for $250 or 5 for $150, nominal fee. We will verify those trades. So because they have to be verified trades, but those will then more quickly get you a pay score. And that is what retailers ultimately want, Mark. Yes, they want the best pay score they can get. I can't legally say that it's going to get you a good pay score because we're a credit agency. But what
Right.
I
Yeah.
can tell you is if you're providing us paid trades within the trade from different vendors, and I assume you're going to give me trades that were paid within the terms, right? That were laid out. It's going to help you get the grade you want in the fastest way possible. And as we
Right.
talked about, Mark, a grade gets you more access, more goods and services, better
And people come
terms,
to you.
better pricing, better timing. Everything is at your fingertips. The higher your pay score, again, I can't tell you it's going to be a good pay score. It's based on your own
Right.
activity, but you're providing us the trades. We're verifying and validating them. That
Right.
makes our suppliers happy because listen, at the end of the day, our suppliers want the same things. They want
Sure.
more retailers with scores because it
Yeah.
makes it easier for them to make credit decisions.
Yeah, and offer more services too.
Win-win, my
So how would
man.
that how would that work? So if I'm a retailer and I'm going for the priority service, do I go to like the website and I would submit invoices?
You could go to the website, you could call our number, but you call our office, and you will speak to a member of our reporting team. I'm sure you're assigned to one of them. They're regionally assigned.
Oh,
They will
okay.
get you signed up. They'll verify some background information about how long you've been in the business and a little bit of background about yourself, how long that store has been in operation,
Right.
little bit of if you want to provide us financial information, again, that benefits you. The more you provide us, the better it is. They're going to verify some insurance information, lease information, etc. We'll get you signed up. Again, we'll swipe the card for the 235, and then whenever you're ready, take the second step and provide us those trades. You can fax them over, email them over. Do us a favor. Do us a favor. Give those wholesalers a heads up that we're going to call, so they're
Oh,
waiting for
okay.
that call. And it's easy for us to
Yeah.
verify them, right? If they don't know why we're calling, they may not understand and they may not pick up that call to verify these. You saying to them, hey, Joe Smith from JBT is going to give you a call. Please verify this trade on this date, this amount. We'll get them verified. We'll get them added to your pay score. Boom, you're going to have a pay score within a couple of weeks if we can get those verified that quickly. And that's what a lot of folks are already taking advantage of. It's a game changer for our retailers, Mark, who previously couldn't really own their own credit journey in this industry. And we're now allowing them to do it.
That's awesome, man. Just for me, how do you guys define what a retailer is?
Good question. So to us, a retailer is someone who's selling to consumers. So if a wholesaler is really the distinction of, is there any B2B business, then you're a wholesaler. There's no, there's no partial, right? If you do 10% of your business B2B, you're a wholesaler. Okay. So if there's no wholesale business, you're a retailer,
Okay. Directly to customers.
direct to customer.
Wow. Anything else you want to add to this?
So let's talk for a minute, Mark, about becoming a supplier. If you're a supplier partner with a jeweler's board, first of all, there's two different levels of being a supplier with us. There's a $1,255. That's a standard member, we call them. Okay, they can run credit reports. $25 a credit report. Okay, they're going to verify information on people, make credit decisions. Okay,
Right.
one of the things that I think is important is that suppliers also have leverage. No retailers want a bad credit report from the jeweler's board. So they pay. You as a member, you have the ability when you're working with other members, there's a leverage aspect to getting paid. And that's important, right? So you're a member that gets you access. We also can sell you lists. So we can do direct mail lists. If you want to expand and grow your business, at RDI, we every few years we were doing direct mail lists. That gave us access. We were calling on these stores. We were mailing them. It allowed us to open new doors. There isn't a bigger list available in the industry than what the Jeweler's Board can offer you, Mark. So that's a huge piece. If you want to grow, we're a great resource and access to.
And it's segmented too. Location, products, service. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get it any way you want, man. You can run it by score. You can run it by region. You can do, it's really a slice and dice. You can get it any way you want, okay? That's huge. And then, listen, if things really go badly in a situation, we offer collection services. So we can actually help you collect, if things go poorly. Now, again, I believe we need to do our job up front. And our job up front is make sure you're running a credit report. Make sure you're getting an app. Make sure you're running references.
Yeah.
This is a statistic that keeps me up at night, Mark. When I look at our collections department, 75% of the collections that we handle, 3 out of 4, the supplier never ran a credit report on the retail. $25 credit
Right.
report, Mark. Didn't run it. Didn't run
Right.
it. So let's do the basic thing and let's run a credit report. Let's make sure that we're okay. Let's make sure that we know where we're sending to. We had a situation with this business a few months ago. We ran it as an ad, but a supplier sent to this derelict building that it wasn't even a real business. But the
geez.
supplier never ran a report and saw
Right.
that wasn't the correct business address. And they lost their merchandise. So let's do some basic work. Let's make sure that we do that. Now, if you want to become an enhanced member, it's actually less money. It's $1,055, $200 off. You get claim and bankruptcy information for everybody. And all we're going to ask, share trade data with us every month. Send us an API of trade data, okay, aged trade data that we can use to help make the reports more robust.
Right.
And make them more usable for everybody. Because listen, I remember my time, and we were what's called an interchange member at RDI. We were an enhanced member. We supplied and shared our data because we were such a user of the product. I wanted to participate and help, and that does participate and help. Supplier came up to me at the show, and he's giving me a hard time, Mark, about, well, there's not enough trade data on these reports. And I said, I appreciate that. We know we need to get better. We're working on acquiring more trades. But let me
What
ask
is
you a
trade
question.
data?
Do you share your trade data with me?
I got to know what trade data is.
Trade data, it means you do a transaction with a retailer.
Uh-huh.
They pay you on time or they pay you slowly. But either way, you report it to us so we know how that retailer pays. That's all we're asking for.
It's really simple.
It's just an anonymous record. And it is anonymous when it's on the report. You don't know who it is, right? We keep that secure. That data is very secure. But to clarify, so this particular supplier is kind of giving me a hard time about, well, there's not enough trade data on some of these reports. Sometimes I run a report and there's only 2 trades. I said, okay, well, obviously my objective is to always get more interchange members, to get more suppliers who share data. And I said to him, but if you don't mind me asking, do you share data with me? He said, well, no. I said, well, then you can't give me a hard time about the data. We're in this together.
Right.
We're all in this together. The JBT's been around since 1884, but we're going to survive because our supplier partners, our retail partners, and JBT are a triangle, and we're all doing our job.
It's got, if you're going to do a handshake, it takes two hands.
No question.
It takes both hands.
No question. Yeah.
So, what else you got to say, man? I'm just gonna let you go, man.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's talk about what I think the JBT can do for your business. I think there's an aspect that's been lost through the years of, well, I'm just gonna ask around if the guy's okay. Okay. And I see that there's a very prominent online network in our industry, and I'm not going to name it, but there's a prominent network, where people share information, and some people feel positively about it. Some are negative. I'm not going to comment on whether I like the form or not. That's not relevant.
Right.
But here's what is relevant to me, Mark. I'm on there sometimes and I see someone do a credit check on there. Does anyone know ABC Jewelers? Is he okay? Okay.
Right.
They'll throw out there. And the inevitable answer is he's a good guy. He's great. Okay. And I think to myself, wow, what a disservice financially that forum is doing, because that's not a vetted check. And
No,
I say this to folks all the time. I have a lot of good friends that I spend time with, I golf with, or I boat with, or whatever I do. And you know what I don't know? I have no idea how they pay their bills.
right.
You just don't.
They're a good guy.
It's one of the most intimate things that you rarely know about a close friend or even relative. Let's be honest. I mean, a lot of us don't know how our siblings pay their bills, or our parents. Listen, that is not something to roll the dice on. If we want to roll the dice, we go to Vegas once a year at JCK and we have a couple great nights at the table. But on a day in and day out basis, when I'm sending tens of thousands of dollars to somebody, I don't want to roll the dice, Mark. I want to be confident and certain that I'm going to get paid, that I'm going to be covered. And to just take someone's word for it, if he's a good guy, yeah, okay, it may lend itself. Do you really know him? How well do you know him? Have you done business with him? But that requires some additional questions. But more often than not, that is not enough to make a financial decision. Can you imagine going into your bank, Mark, and sitting down with the bank manager and going, I need a $50,000 loan? And he goes, well, we need some information. Go, what do you mean? I'm a great guy. I know you're from the racket club. I mean, it's
Right.
insanity. It's insanity. Let's stop the insanity. Let's spend a little bit of money to run a couple reports. And by the way, I forgot to mention, an interchange member spends just $13 for a credit report. So almost half. So there's all the reason in the world to be an interchange member. Become an interchange member with Jewelers Board. Share some data with us. You get unbelievable benefits. We have now an online app where you can do things for your salespeople, so they don't have to carry the book. For $169 a year, you can sign up and get access to this on your phone. I mean, It's a no-brainer. If you've got a road guy who's out there visiting stores, boom, on your phone, $169, no-brainer. There's so many great tools that we can afford you as a business owner and a protection in this business. And even if you're at the $1,255 mark, I mean, give me a break, Mark. We're talking about $5 a month. If you make one deal or save one bad transaction from happening, it's paid for itself 10 times.
Could have saved you tens of thousands of dollars.
No question. No question.
And it's for businesses of all scales too.
For sure.
Getting started. You've been in the industry for 100 years yourself.
Yeah.
It's always going to help at all different levels.
Yeah,
so.
That's a great point. Sometimes people say to me, Andrew, well, I'm winding down. I only have a few clients left, and I just don't open new doors. I don't need JBT. And I smile at them and I go, you need me more than your buddy. And they go, what do you mean? I go, if you have less clients, that means that each of the clients you have left are more important than they used to be, because you have so few, and things change over the course of a year. And so to not on a couple times a year run a Jewelers Board report to see if anything's changed, that's a dereliction of your duties, and you're potentially risking thousands of dollars. If you have fewer clients, that also means you're extending more credit to each of the ones you have left. Make sure you're protecting your assets. Run credit checks on people. Run a report a couple times a year. It's a no-brainer, but not doing it, the statistics are off the charts. When, again, as I shared with you, when I look at my collections, it's always because folks didn't run a report. Run a
Yeah,
report.
and it's affordable to do. That's $13.
It's a no-brainer.
It's actually less than McDonald's.
It's exactly right.
You know, that's amazing stuff, man. That's pretty much all the questions I had. We're doing good on time. Definitely here if you got more. I just want to say, reach out and let people know that the website is, correct me if I'm wrong, jewelersboard.com.
That's correct.
I also checked it out, and there's you guys have an excellent LinkedIn site with lots of great information. Facebook, you're up on Facebook. So there's a lot of ways to find you guys. I definitely go to the website though first, because that's just going to be the easiest.
For sure.
And I love your guys' tagline, and it says, helping the industry know your business partners, find new customers, and get paid.
Yeah, man. That's it.
That's a great tagline.
That's it.
Man. It's exactly what you do.
That's what we do. It's basic, man. We're just trying to keep both parties safe, right? Because again, if you're a retailer, you should also know and run checks. You can run reports the other way. If you're a retailer, you should know who you're doing business with. You should have access.
Yeah. Are they a good
Control your
supplier?
journey, right? And if you're a supplier, you need to protect your assets. And regardless of where you are in the business, if you're doing business, you should be utilizing the board to make sure that we're helping you to verify and validate who you're shipping to, what you're shipping, protect yourself. Don't get down a bad path. Use the leverage that's afforded to you by working with partners. If you're a supplier, insist that the folks you work with become partners. That provides you more leverage as a supplier to the retailers. If you're a retailer, make sure that you're utilizing your access. Provide us trades. Get the best possible and the fastest possible grade you can get by submitting trades to us. It only helps you.
You guys are a team.
We're all in
You're
it
a team
together,
member.
Mark. We're all in it together.
And yeah, a powerful player on the team as well. Well, thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us today. Really, really, I learned a ton. I always knew about JBT, but I didn't know the details. And I'm super excited that you're now on board. I know it's only a couple months in, but I'm really looking forward to seeing all the positive changes that are coming and all the help that's going to come to the retail sector, being able to participate in this really powerful tool.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you. Yep, I appreciate it. And we got a long way to go, but we're making progress every day, and we're going to work hard to be here for another 100 years.
Another 100 years. Thank you again, Andrew.
You got it, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Well, that's it for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed our conversation with Andrew Rickard. If you are interested in the Jewelers Board of Trade, be sure to visit them at thejewelersboard.com or find the link in the description. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to. It really helps us to continue growing the show. For any questions, or if you want to join the show, email us at podcast@riogrande.com. Thank you and have a great day.